in order to do that, you need to reserve enough fuel for the boost back burn, the entry burn, and the landing burn. And so you don't have as much fuel to push the payload uphill in the first place. So you need to place more limits on how much payload you can deliver. If your payload is heavier and you can't reserve that much fuel, then you can eliminate the boost back burn and follow that trajectory down to the sea. Just do the entry burn to prevent you from burning up and do a landing burn. But you will land in the water. So SpaceX have a fleet of what they're calling autonomous spaceport drone ships, which are robot barges essentially with engines strapped to them and a big flat landing deck. And they just put them bobbing out in the water, and the rockets do essentially the same thing, a suicide burn down onto the deck of this drone ship, and then they go back to port and the rockets get unloaded and brought back home. And it's nuts. First time.
Sorry, explain again, why can't in that version it land on land?
So it's essentially because turning around and braking that sideways speed and then reversing course and heading home costs a lot more fuel. So if you have a payload that is heavier than the fuel margins allow for, you can't do that boost back burn because you need enough fuel to get the payload up to where it's going.
That's the part that I didn't get. So when you lift off, you don't go straight up so you can fall straight down. You go, so you have to return back.
You always have to go sideways with the rocket launch in order to get that orbital speed, unless you're doing like a sounding rocket, which is, it's just straight up and down, but you don't get big rockets like Falcon 9's doing that.
All right, now I got it. Cool.
But yeah, why am I talking about that? I guess I'm talking about how awesome that is, and they have done that now. As I said, they had the first successful landing. That was after like probably 10 attempts where it had hit the deck of the drone ship and blown up, or fallen over or whatever. And then there were a few more failures after that, but the rate of successes started to uptick, and then the failures were the rarities. And now it's been like 100+ successful landings of boosters, and it's the most everyday thing, and it's like almost a boring thing, like about a SpaceX booster.
People take it for granted, like self-driving cars. They're like, oh yeah, it just drives itself on the highway.
Well, that will be the case soon, I'm sure, but it's kind of mad to think that nearly 7 years after the first booster landed, no other company, no other rocket provider is able to do that. SpaceX are still the only people who do that, and they do it like it's nothing. It's totally routine. And now Starship is coming along with its super heavy booster. They'll be doing the same thing. They'll be landing the Starships as well in the similar manner. It's kind of interesting and cool. Like, there's so much detail and engineering thought that goes into all of these things that, like, I can pick any aspect of them, like the way the Starship falls through the atmosphere like a skydiver using these flaps in place of arms and legs to like balance itself as it falls, and then it kicks over and lands on its base.
Crazy.
Anyway, point is, I was talking about the environmental review. So originally, where Starship is being built was set up, or at least was spec'd out for the environmental review as a Falcon and Falcon Heavy launch site. But Starship is a lot bigger, where a Falcon is 3.6 meter diameter and has 9 engines, and a Falcon Heavy is just 3 of those strapped together, so it's 27 engines, but it's also 3.6 meter diameter. And those are not the same engines as on Starship. They're significantly less powerful. Starship is a 9 meter diameter with, I think at last count, 31 engines on the 30, or is it 33? It keeps changing because they're very, very flexible in their development path, so they keep changing things. So it's somewhere between 29 and 33 engines on the bottom of a single stick Starship. And those engines are like 3 or 4 times as powerful as the engines on the Falcon 9. So individually, each engine. So that's a whole lot more force and noise and power that's being sort of that the environment, the local environment, is being subjected to.
Yeah.
So for that reason, quite correctly, the Federal Aviation Administration said the environmental review you have on this site is invalid for this rocket. So we need to redo it. But irritatingly, they said we'll have it done by January, when it was first started, I think in September last year. And it was around August time that first stacking of the Starship was done. And that was booster number 4 and Starship number 20. And so we were waiting for an orbital flight 420 hashtag flight 420, and like Elon Musk was like, I don't know why these numbers keep following me around. And he's like, you know what, I just found out today that the engineering crew on the booster took half a ring off, half like a ring of steel for the 9-meter diameter, half a ring off it, and where the booster would be 70 meters tall according to the spec it was going to be built to,
okay,
it's now 69 meters tall. 69 420.
69 420. Yeah. The magical number. Oh, man.
So we have been waiting for, like, what is it now, 5 months for flight 420 to take off. And in those 5 months, like I said, they keep iterating on the design, keep improving things, keep finding efficiencies. Booster 4 and Ship 20 are obsolete now. So they're not going to make the flight. RIP flight 420. So it's probably going to be like Booster 7 and Ship 25, which is just 725, whatever. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a radio station somewhere. I'm sure there's a radio station somewhere like 725, and they like have 30 years of history, and we just like destroy them. We're like, nah. Yeah, but okay.
So that's where SpaceX stands.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see the full version, go to the Uncle Gold Podcast YouTube channel or watch the next clip.